Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the Fellow KGB channel. I am Kyle. We're going to be going over the waiver wire targets for Week 14. I got a list, the ESPN watch list of 30 players. I'm trying to look at guys below 50%. I know a lot of people are looking at probably guys that are in the 50 to 60 window for 10-team leagues, but we're trying to get as many names out there for you guys as we can. So we got a screen share going on here. And I want to pull up real quick too, and let's take a look at hashtag basketball, and we're going to show you guys the advanced schedule grid, and we're going to see just who has the most games this week. It looks like most teams have 3 or 4 games. So if you're looking to add a guy for the week, add some of these, these guys with 4 games. So there's a lot of teams here. The majority of teams play 4 games, so only a few play 3. So Raptors, Blazers, Suns, Lakers, Nuggets, and the Cavs. These are the only teams that play 3 games. So anybody that plays 4 games, a little bit more excited to get him on my team. So again, that's hashtag basketball, and you just click on the advanced schedule grid right here, and that'll show you what's going on there. So let's get into it here. The way I have this set up is, let's see, I think it's by here. Let's go last 7 days, and we have it filtered right now by percent rostered. So these guys are probably the hottest ads that we have at the moment right now. So we have at the top of the list, you got Moses Brown, Oklahoma City Thunder starting center right now. We know Al Horford probably not, like, it sounds like Al Horford's done with the Thunder. I'm not really sure how to look at this. He's shut down for the season. So this is the guy that's going to get all the starting minutes. Moses Brown, we kind of talked about him maybe the week or two ago, and he's seen a 33.5% increase in rostership here, 48.6 total. So this is probably the last opportunity for you guys to get him. So he's been a double-double machine in his little stint here. He started off, with a bang, getting 19, 27, 24 minutes, and then he's just been steady above 30. So you look at his last 7-day stats, he's averaging almost 33 minutes per game, almost 15 points per game, almost 17 rebounds per game. That's because he had a massive 23 rebound game. Not so much of a passer, not a lot of assists. Steals and blocks come in bunches though, so don't expect the assists, but everything else looks great. We can't expect him to get 23 rebounds the rest of the way, but really encouraging. 4 straight games of double-digit rebounds here. So as long as his minutes stay up, Al Horford's out of the picture. Moses Brown's going to be a league winner in Oklahoma City Thunder right now, especially with SGA. Let's take a look at him and see. I'm going to pull up the Oklahoma City Thunder's team as a whole. Maybe we should talk about them before I get into some of my other teams here. Let's just click on this and we'll go look at Oklahoma City Thunder. But we got a huge list of 30 players, but I kind of like to look at it team by team. And with OKC, I mean, SGA is out for how long now with the plantar fasciitis? Significant amount of time. That's not really a firm timetable as it says here. So this might be a while. If you have SGA, hold on to him for the fantasy playoff run here. Hopefully he's out maybe 3 or 4 weeks at the most. But we should wait and see what's here. So we know SGA's out, and we know Al Horford's out of the picture. So who's going to step up here? Moses Brown's the first name that comes to mind. Here, let me filter by the last 7 days and see who's been the hottest of this team here. Let's see. So Moses Brown, Tony Bradley, he was averaging some good minutes with Philadelphia. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with him when he starts playing with the team. He just got, acquired in the trade. Theo Maledon, he's going to be on the 30-man watch list here, but this is the guy here who's going to see a huge boost in minutes. As you see, with SGA out, he's been getting over 30 minutes the last 4 games and a pretty solid, fantasy floor here. You see 26, 24, 15, and 41. That's probably going to average out to, maybe 25, mid-20s points per game here. So I like Theo Maledon quite a bit. 7% rostered. This is, a really easy one for us. And I think they got 4 games on the schedule this week. They play tonight, so if you're watching this, go ahead and grab them tonight before the game starts. We got Lou Dort here, the other name that I think could benefit with SGA out. Didn't have such a great game the other night here. Only 16 minutes. He had a concussion in that game. So as long as he's able to go and play, he's probably gonna be one of their leading scorers. So you see 37, 34 points. So every now and then he'll have kind of a not so great game, but with no SGA, I would expect more good games than bad games out of Lou Dort. Still don't know how to say this guy's name, Aleksej Pokusevski. He's been at a high floor here. You see 19-19. We can get by with that as long as he puts in a 34 or 28, every other game. So I like a lot of guys here on the Thunder. Kenrich Williams is another one to just kind of keep an eye on. with no SGA is out for a while. So this is a pretty consistent scorer here. If you hold on to him for 4 games, you're going to hope for 80 some, 80 plus points in a 12-man league. I think that's great for your worst player on your team. So a lot of guys to look at here for OKC. We covered them well enough here. So let's kind of keep moving down the list here. Dillon Brooks is next, shooting guard from Memphis. He's averaging about 30 points per game the last 7 days, only 44% rostered. This is the guy here who his minutes are kind of sporadic, sometimes he'll get a 37 every now and then, but for the most part, he's kind of hovering around 29 minutes per game. He'll have you just can't be having these team games here, but his big games are pretty big. You see 28, 46, I'll take a 31. So this is the guy that you could probably add if there's like a back-to-back, or if he's got, 3 games in 2 days kind of thing. I'm interested in collecting some of these points here. So Dillon Brooks is a solid add here. You look at his last 7 days compared to his season stats, his minutes are the same. The points are up about 5 points per game, rebounds up a little bit, assists down a little bit, and then the steals and blocks are pretty much the same. So he's been playing pretty well this year, only 25 and a half points per game here. So he's a guy that probably should be owned in 12-man leagues. You got Duncan Robinson next year. Now the Heat, with all the new players on their team and the acquisitions going on, you're probably going to see Duncan Robinson's minutes dip a little bit, and we've seen that the last 2 games. Still a really good scorer, 25, 21. He occasionally has, like an 8, an 11, a 13 every now and then. So this is kind of a guy that I've seen him just kind of get pumped and dumped throughout, whether they have a back-to-back kind of game like that. So I like Duncan Robinson. Let me see what he got for a schedule this week. So if you want to get Duncan Robinson on your team, where did he go? So they have a back-to-back here on March 31st, April 1st. So Wednesday night, Thursday night, you can maybe pick him up and steal 2 games out of him there. Let's get back to, I don't know why it tweaked out on me here. Alec Burks has been scoring a lot of points for the New York Knicks. Look at some of his numbers the last 5-6 games. 45, 36, almost 30, 44, 38, 27, logging a ton of minutes, and the scoring has been hot. You look at his last 7 days compared to his season stats, minutes are up about almost 8 minutes per game. The points are almost nearly doubled. So he's at almost 23 points per game, up from 13, averaging 2 more rebounds per game, assists just a little bit more, steals and blocks about the same. But Alec Burks is getting a lot of run right now. This might be one of my favorite ads of the week right now. So 43.2% owned, and he's been averaging the last 7 days he's averaging 37.1 fantasy points per game. So he needs to be on people's radar right now. Let's take a look at Jakob Poeltl here. We know LaMarcus Aldridge isn't coming back. The minutes have been pretty consistent for Poeltl recently here. You look at his numbers, though, 41, 28, 18, 28, 18. He's got a floor of about 18 points. So this is a guy, especially if you need a center, it's not a really sexy play, but he collects good minutes and good points and rebounds, double-doubles every now and then. So I like him quite a bit if you need someone on your bench, especially for a center spot. This is a guy in 4 games during a weekly span. You might hit over 100 points. So this is a really good player to add here. 34% rostered. Let's look at. So I put Bobby Portis on the list because he's out with COVID right now. I'm not sure if he has it personally or if someone in his circle had it and he's just going through protocol, but. When he plays, he's actually a pretty good player. So he's 32% rostered. If someone cut him, over the last couple of days, he's worth adding on to, putting him in your IR just to see what happens. He did have a kind of a rough stretch here of 15, 8, and 16, but for the most part, before, I guess, back at the end of February, he was averaging, 28, 26, 36. He's a high, points per minute player. You see what he did just before he left with a 30 and a 33. So keep an eye on Bobby Portis. If you have an IR spot, you can collect him there. Got Bogdan Bogdanovic here, he's been ramping it back up. You see his minutes are kind of back up to what we expected them to be. You still see him kind of in the lower 20s, but we need some more of these 30s and these 29s. The scoring is still up and down. 20 points one game or double digits the next game. But I care most about the rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. He's kind of, collecting 1 or 2 things from each column there. So he's developing a safe floor over the last 16 days. This 14-point game is not the greatest, but in a 4-game stretch, you'll take this as your worst player. So if you need someone there, 32% owned for Bogdan Bogdanovic. Now the minutes are going to get weird. So DeAndre Hunter and Chris Dunn returned So there's just a lot of guys here. Kevin Herter's getting big minutes here. So there's a lot of, small shooting guard, small forward minutes going on here. So I don't love the Bogdan Bogdanovic pickup. We got Derrick White here, and with I think Lonnie Walker is out for a while, so this is why Derrick White's seen an uptick. He had been playing a lot of minutes, but all of a sudden now his points are starting to catch up to it. So over his last 4 games, 36, 22, 22, 33. This is a really good ad at the moment here. So which teams do not have 4 games this week? So the Spurs do have 4 games. So I would recommend getting Derrick White here. The last 7 days, you look at his points, they're up about, or his minutes, he's up about 6 minutes per game. He's up about 3 points per game, up in rebounds almost 1. Assists, steals, and blocks are all kind of the same, but he's getting more opportunities. So we like Derrick White quite a bit. Danny Green playing for Philadelphia right now. He's put up some big points here. He's kind of got a weird floor of about 15 to 17 points, but his highs are really high. He gets a lot of 30s. He'll dabble with a 40 every now and then. But I like Danny Green quite a bit. You look at his minutes lately too; those have definitely been up. Usually over 30. Last 7 days, he's up about 3 minutes per game. He's up almost 9 points per game too. So this is a player that's kind of on the rise right now. I like him quite a bit. Jason Tate for the Houston Rockets. You look at what he's been doing. He's actually been really consistent, and I don't get. He's 27% rostered here. He's averaging 23.4 points per game on the season, but in the last 7 days, he's averaging 33 points per game. So this is a guy here. You look at these minutes, just some massive minutes here. He's not an elite scorer. He kind of does it in bunches, but you're going to add him for his floor of his rebounds, his assists. He's really active on defense with the steals and the blocks. And with Houston, kind of like OKC, this is just a young team that doesn't really have much to go for this year. They're going to continue playing these younger players, and he's one of the guys that I like holding on to for the rest of the season here. So Tate's on the list. You got a veteran in Jay Crowder here. Over his last 7 days, he's averaging about 23 points per game. So this isn't a super sexy ad, but what I admire is his consistency. He doesn't have a lot of highs and lows. He comes in around 16 to 18 points on a bad game, and he'll kind of settle just somewhere in the 20s. So if you need someone to be if this is your worst player averaging, almost 21, 22 points per game, I'm totally okay with that. Jordan Poole, we've talked about him kind of the last couple of weeks, and he's just continuing to stay steady. Is Steph Curry back yet? Continues to start for Steph Curry, so nothing there yet. We'll look at his timeline in a bit. But just the minutes are up. You look at what he's been doing his last 7 days, almost 34 minutes per game, 17 points, and then just a couple of rebounds and assists added in there. Nothing really too much to add in the steals or the block column, but he's a really good scorer. He's kind of been tailing downwards here. So we'll see if he can get it fired back up and start putting up some 20-point games. But I like Jordan Poole quite a bit. He might have earned a role, but we'll see what happens when Curry comes back if that number goes down. You got Josh Hart here, about 24.4% owned. And this is the guy here he's got a relatively high floor. You see these 19s, these 17s, the 9s kind of just like a random game case here. But for the most part, really good rebounder, not an elite scorer, but you're adding him for the rebounding, the assists. He's such a good player. He doesn't have to score to be a good fantasy player. So I really like the columns here. Really consistent. You can bank on him. And he's averaging almost 24 points per game on the season. Over the last 7 days, he's averaging almost 30 points per game. So I like Josh Hart quite a bit there. So you got Chuma Okeke here for the Orlando Magic. Orlando blew it up. They're going to be, again, I'm putting Orlando in one of those columns with OKC, Houston, teams that don't, you can throw Detroit in there too. Teams that don't have a lot to play for this year, but they're just going to continue to play their young talent. Over the last 2 days, 30 minutes, 37 minutes, some good points, some solid rebounds, assists, and just chipping it in with the steals and the blocks. So I like what I'm seeing develop here, 26, 40, 20. We'll see if he can kind of continue this minutes approach here. So I don't know if I'm adding him right now, but definitely a guy to maybe tomorrow night because there's not a lot of games Tuesday night. If you're looking at the schedule, I think there's only 2 games tomorrow night, maybe 1. So Orlando players are kind of useful tomorrow night, at least for 1 night. But you got Nerlens Noel here. Now, Mitchell Robinson is out for the season with a fractured foot. I don't know if we probably won't see him back. Maybe I don't even know if they're the playoffs, but all of a sudden Nerlens Noel is back into our good graces. Over his last 3 games, you see 36, 25, and 31 fantasy points. I'm not sure what happened in this game with the 17 minutes, but we're going to expect him to probably settle somewhere back into, if you look at his numbers, kind of in early March, late February here, he's getting a ton of minutes. So this is his ceiling, 43, 25, 39, 25. But you can expect probably a safe at least 25 points per game from him the rest of the way without Mitchell Robinson. Paul Millsap has returned to play. He's about 20% owned. He's averaging 22 points per game on the season here. So he's been playing a while here, but his minutes are starting to trickle back up. So he's 20, 30, 22. Not a super sexy play. Like, it's going to be disappointing if you get some of these single digits or these teen digit numbers here. But his last 3 games, 21, 36, and 30. So I like him. Don't love it, but maybe if they have like a back-to-back or something. We got the rookie for Detroit, Saddiq Bey. He's only 17% owned. He's averaging about 19 points per game on the season. So I don't love the consistency out of Saddiq Bey yet. He did have a couple nice moments in mid-February or mid-March here with a 52-point game, a 35, the career high 28 points, 12 rebound game. We'd love to see more of that. But the thing that's going for Saddiq Bey is starter minutes. Look at the last 7 days compared to his season stats. His minutes are up almost 7 minutes per game, about 2.5 points per game. Rebounds are up a little bit. Assists are up by 1. Steals and blocks are kind of the same. But Saddiq Bey is going to continue to get a lot of play time. So I like him quite a bit. Over the last 7 days, he's averaging about 23.3 points. So he can easily, the way that I do this is I play a lot of 12-man leagues. So if my 12th man, or in a 12-man league, my worst player is averaging 22, 23 points, that's great. So that's what I like to see. You got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's just been putting on a show lately. And this is a guy here, only 16.6% owned. I really like what I'm seeing here. He's a really good scorer, really good distributor of the ball, and he can get rebounds too. So you look at this, just the consistency here ever since March 16th. These are really good numbers: 30, 35, 28, 32, 20, 29. If that's his worst game going forward, I'll take that. And he also only played 19 minutes in that game. So as long as his minutes are going to stay up, you see 35 minutes per game the last 7 days, almost 17.3 points, almost 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He just kind of fills everything out, and he's kind of a really fun player to keep an eye on. So we know Lonzo Ball is still sidelined. Maybe we should check out Lonzo Ball real quick just to see when he might be coming back. So he's unlikely to play Monday. So he's going to be questionable, so there might be a couple more games left for Nickeil Walker-Alexander. You got Lugunsdort here, who we talked about him a little bit at the beginning. We'll move on to Malik Monk. And Malik Monk's been really streaky lately. He took the night off the other night with a sore foot. But with the Charlotte Hornets, they need some scorers. We know LaMelo Ball's not coming back for a while yet. So we just can't have this 5 and this minus 1.75. I think that turned off a lot of people. But I'm willing to give Monk the benefit of the doubt. He does pour in a lot of opportunity here. So I'm not sure how many games they have this week. They got 4 games this week. They do have a back-to-back against Brooklyn and Indianapolis. So maybe check them out for Thursday. Is that the correct week? Yep, Thursday and Friday. Let's move on to the next guys. Isaiah Roby, we talked about. I guess we got Roby and we got Theo Maledon here, and Tony Bradley from OKC. I talked about them at the top of the show. I'd like all those ads. Kem Birch is an interesting ad here. He's going to be competing with Wendell Carter Jr. for playing time, but anytime someone gets a 50-point game in fantasy, I'm going to take notice. 14 points, 15 boards against Portland. If his minutes kind of stick in between this 26 to 30 minutes, I think Kem Birch is going to be a guy that a lot of people want to add. So check him out. He plays tomorrow night, and again, with tomorrow night's schedule, let's take a look at the scoreboard here. With tomorrow night's schedule, I found myself wanting to add some Orlando Magic players. So 4 games tomorrow night. Hornets, Wizards, Sixers, Nuggets, Magic, Clippers, Hawks, Suns. So only 4 games. If you need some players to add for tomorrow night, definitely check into some of the players in the names that we've talked about on this list. We talked about Pokashevsky, JaVale McGee over there in Denver. Still waiting for him to play, but he was starting to play some better ball before the break and before the trade. But just keep an eye on him, and we'll see what happens out there in Denver as the backup. Terrence Mann has been getting a lot of minutes and opportunity. He's been pretty consistent too. He's had a lot of inconsistency in the beginning of the year, so this is a guy that I'm willing to maybe add for a night or two, but nothing long-term quite yet. But the minutes have been kind of stabilizing here, and he's been a pretty good scorer for them out there in LA. You got Grayson Allen, who has he was injured, I think, in February. Yeah, he came back mid-March. And he's got a pretty safe high floor. You see 17 and 15 points have been his worst game, and he's been averaging like over 20. What was it? 20. He's averaging 19.6 on the season, but on the last 7 days, he's averaging 23.9 points. So I like him quite a bit, and is because everything's just so consistent with him. The minutes are kind of always going to be about the same. If he doesn't get the points, he'll get some other stats for you. The steals kind of come in bunches for him sometimes. So he's got a really safe high floor. I like him quite a bit. Only 4% rostered, but again, last 7 days, he's averaging about 24 points per game. So we'll take that. And then you got Pat Connaughton here, who's been on kind of a really good tear. I don't know what's up with this 1.75 game against Washington, but if you take that away, this looks like a player that should be owned in 12-man leagues. They do have 4 games this week as well. And then with Taj Gibson here, Mitchell Robinson out for the year probably. And Taj Gibson, man, Tom Thibodeau likes his Taj Gibson, his veteran players. So he's 32.5 and 29 points the last 2 games. So that's a really safe add there. So that's going to do it for the ESPN watch list of 30 players. Hopefully you liked 1 or 2 of the guys that we put on the list today, but that's going to do it for this video. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. We do this I put the waiver wire video out either Sunday or Monday, and then tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night, we'll have our live show. So come check out and hang out with us then. We'll see you guys in another video. Thanks. Peace.